For as far as technology and graphics have progressed, some of the best scares in gaming are also some of the oldest. These are the terrors that transcend time, preying on our fears to incredible effect. Let's take a look at scary moments from the 90s games that will probably still haunt you. Zombie Dogs, Resident Evil. Well, the very first meeting with a zombie, as it slowly turned around, revealing its mutilated face, will stick with us. The dogs from Resident Evil 1 are way more memorable. The game starts with the main cast running from a pack of undead dogs, seeking shelter in the mansion. You know it won't be the last time dealing with them, but you half expect one to suddenly leap through a window as you're walking down a corridor, or even for a second one to join in. The Licker, Resident Evil 2. The remake made Mr. X a terrifying force to reckon with, but in the original Resident Evil 2, it was the Licker that seared itself into our traumatized memories. Raccoon City is already in shambles thanks to the T-virus spreading. You become somewhat accustomed to all the different zombies, but upon exploring the RPD and eventually looking up, the Licker is seen with its exposed brain and razor-sharp tongue. Even worse is that the Licker would quickly dispose of Leon and Claire if the player didn't react fast enough. Running from Scissorman, Clock Tower. Bobby Barrows, aka the first Scissorman, was a terror unlike any other when Clock Tower released. Though somewhat short, he wields a massive pair of scissors and stalks protagonist Jennifer throughout the mansion. The sheer number of places that Bobby could emerge from, whether it's from behind a curtain or even a mannequin, is crazy. But one can never forget the chases as Jennifer tries to run, the Scissorman gleefully in pursuit as the panic builds. Locker Room, Silent Hill 1. Upon entering the locker room in Midwich Elementary School, you'll hear a rattling. This is Silent Hill, so clearly it can't be anything good, right? Upon nearing the locker in question, a cat will suddenly pop out and be on its way. That seems all fine and dandy until you return later. The same locker is rattling again, but with blood seeping from it. You open it only to be greeted by heaps of blood and nothing else. A false alarm? Until another locker suddenly opens. HEADCRABS, Half-Life. Regardless of how many horror games you played at the time, seeing a headcrab suddenly leap at you in Half-Life was terrifying. It didn't cause a lot of damage, but it could still be tricky to kill the first few times. Ambushing Gordon from the dark corners didn't help either. Over time, the game mixes things up by throwing numerous headcrabs at you because why not? Seeing the various scientists and security guards converted into mindless zombies also served as a nice incentive to not die to one. Nemesis in RPD, Resident Evil 3. What's worse than zombie dogs bursting through a window? Lickers? How about the Nemesis? Jill had her fair share of encounters with the hulking behemoth, but the worst is while descending the stairs in RPD. Upon reaching the bottom, Nemesis suddenly makes his appearance. You could fight or run away in terror. Either works, really. T-Rex, Dino Crisis 1. While not the Nemesis, Regina has to settle for a T-Rex that's constantly chasing her, seeking a snack. Though every encounter with it is terrifying, because it's a massive lumbering reptile that can easily devour her, the first is perhaps the most significant. After locating a survivor who subsequently dies, Regina unlocks a panel behind the desk. Time to leave, except the T-Rex suddenly smashes through the window, devouring the corpse and attempts to reach Regina. A few shots will make it leave, but alas, this is only the beginning. Mike's Last Drink, Darkseid 2. Cyberdream's point-and-click psychological horror series about a parallel universe run by terrifying aliens called the Ancients isn't the first thing that comes to mind when talking about 90s horror. Nevertheless, it's full of genuinely disturbing imagery, not the least of which includes all the various ways protagonist Mike Dawson can die. In Darkseid 2, after seeking some answers, Mike asks for a drink. He's given something which fills him to the point of literal bursting. Psycho Mantis, Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid cemented itself as a premier 3D stealth title at launch, but also contributed significantly to the series' tradition of messing with the player. Psycho Mantis is perhaps the best example, not even letting you play the game as he reads your mind. while actually reading the data off of one's memory card was terrifying to say the least.
So, you like Suikoden? So, you like Azure Dreams?
CYBORG MIDWIFE, System Shock 2. What makes System Shock 2 so scary is just the overwhelming atmosphere of one situation. You're stuck on the Von Braun with a rogue AI while also dealing with the remnants of the crew and the many bioengineered enemies that can vary from creatures to cyborg humans. One of those, the CYBORG MIDWIFE, is a reoccurring presence, and her appearance alone is enough to scare you. But sometimes you could just be walking down a dark hallway and suddenly run into her. Visible or not, horrors lurk all throughout the starship, awaiting you, and that's the most terrifying thing. Meeting Mother, Sanitarium. You have to pity Max. After getting into an accident, he awakens in a strange sanitarium with no memory of his identity. Eventually, he'll explore the place and start traveling to other strange worlds. All of them are terrifying in their own right, but the most disturbing is the town with the children. Malformed, they speak of a mother who takes care of them. Eventually, Max meets Mother and discovers what she, or it, really is. A grotesque alien that killed everyone in the town. Evil Piano, Super Mario 64. Jump scares in a Mario game? You bet. Super Mario 64 is full of challenging levels, but Big Boo's haunt was just straight up creepy. The level features a number of different terrors, like a big Mr. I and a merry-go-round with smaller boos. The Mad Piano is hands down the most memorable encounter though. You're just casually walking through a room with nothing but a piano present. Get close to it and suddenly snaps to life in a cacophonous, biting at Mario with its teeth. Alone in the Dark. The progenitor of 3D survival horror games with its amazing sound design and aesthetics, Alone in the Dark had its share of spooky moments. Perhaps the most frightening is what occurs when the player is knocked out by an enemy. Their body will be dragged into the depths of the mansion where the vengeful spirit Prext will possess them. The image of terrors being unleashed is freaky, but the prospect of being dragged away, unable to do anything to escape before being lost, is the real motivating terror. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from Gaming Bolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.